right, here we have some more practice with solving equations. If you watched one of my earlier videos, I mentioned what we call two-step equations. So each of these that I'm going to work below are called two-step equations because there will be two steps that we take in order to solve for the variable, whatever that letter may be in this situation. If we're looking at question H, we're trying to solve for the variable w. In one of the earlier videos, I also mentioned thinking about an onion and kind of peeling back. If you're peeling an onion, you peel the most outside layer first, and then you work your way towards the inside. So you can kind of think of an equation similar to that. If I'm trying to get to w is like the inside of the onion, I want to work with the outside bit first and work my way towards the inside. And we also think about using the opposite of BIDMAS. So remember, we start with addition and subtraction, and then we use division and multiplication in order to solve for w. So if I read this out, I have 2 times w, take away 9. Working backwards, the last thing that I said was take away 9. I want to use the opposite of that to get to w, to undo it. So I'm going to plus 9 on both sides of the equation. And then what I have here, I'm going to bring down 2w. The 9's, minus 9 and plus 9 cancel out. I bring down this equals, and then I have minus 6 plus 9, which gives me a positive 3. All right, from there, I'm going to read this as 2 times w equals 3. So again, I want to use opposites. So the opposite of multiplying w times 2 would be to divide by 2. So I'm going to divide by 2. Whatever I do to the left-hand side, I also need to do to the right-hand side. And then I'll come up with my solution because these 2's, 2 divided by 2, they cancel out. I'm just left with w on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, I have 3 divided 2, which you could either leave as 3 over 2, a fraction, or 1.5. So that would be your answer to the question H, okay? You can always go back and plug this into the original solution or the original equation to check to make sure that you have it correct, okay? Now, the main reason I wanted to make this video is because I was asked about questions M and N. These are different because we have a fraction here. But really the steps will look almost exactly the same that we just saw in question H. All right, so what you want to do is draw your line down the equal symbol. Remember, we're using BIDMAS backwards, so we add or subtract before we multiply or divide. So I'm going to take the opposite of plus 3 here, take away 3 from both sides. That leaves me with 1/2 x, I bring that down. The 3's go away, and then I have 15 take away 3, which is 12, okay? From there, I'm still trying to get x by itself. I have 1/2 of x equals 12. You could either just try to think of that yourself. 1/2 of what number would give me 12, right? Half of something would give me 12. You could probably just come up with that using your brain, right? Or mathematically, there are a few different ways that we could do this. So I'm going to actually write it out a few different ways so that you can see multiple ideas here. The first way, right, and kind of using what we did in question H, since I was multiplying by 2, what I did was divide by 2 on both sides. So you could think of this as I'm dividing both sides by 1/2. And do you remember what happens when we divide a fraction? We flip it, right? So this becomes 12 divided by 1/2, which is the same thing as, remember, we do keep, change, flip. So 12 we keep, divide we change to times, and this flipping 1/2 would be 2 over 1, which is the same thing as 2. So really all I'm doing is taking 12 and timesing it by 2, which gives me 24, all right? And that's actually our answer because these 1/2s have canceled over here, so I end up with x equals 24. Right? Hopefully that was the number you were thinking of earlier. When I said half of some number is 12, the answer is 24. Half of 24 is 12, okay? The other thing we could do is just since I have 1/2 here, I know that times 2 would make this go away, right? So all I have to do is times 2 over here, so I have x is 24. It's really the same exact thing, but it's just another way of thinking about how to come up with your answer. So there are always a few different ways, but I want you to use what's best for you or use what makes the most sense to you. And then really you should always arrive at the same answer as everybody else does if your method is correct, okay? So we're going to practice this one more time with letter N, okay? We'll use the same steps that we used above, okay? So this will kind of be a practice. If you want to freeze the video right now or pause it to try N on your own and then start it up again to see if you had it correct, I think that would be a good idea. All right, but what we need to do first is draw that line. We're going to use BIDMAS backwards, remember? So I add or subtract before I multiply or divide. Opposite of -7 is +7. And then I bring everything down. So I have 1/4 m. The 7's go away. 2 + 7 is 9, okay? So now I have the equation. Let's read it together. It says 1/4 of m equals 9, okay? You could think of this two different ways, right? We could either divide both sides by the fraction 1/4, but really dividing by 1/4 is the same thing as timesing by 4. Yes, because we flip that fraction. Keep, change, divide, change to times, and 1/4 becomes 4/1, which is just 4, all right? So from there, these have canceled out because 1/4 divided by 1/4 is 1, it goes away, and then I have 1m, or just m. So I know m equals 9 times 4, or m equals 36, and that would be your answer, okay? And if you look up here, it says 1/4 times m, which is 36. 1/4 of 36 is 9. Take away 7 gives me 2. Okay, I always want you to try to think about checking your answer. All right, that's probably the toughest question for today. If you can do those, you can probably do the rest of them on that sheet. If you'd like to move ahead, you're welcome to, but this week is really just about practicing solving equations, okay? So if you struggled a little bit last week, that's okay. You can use MathsWatch this week, or you can use these videos. I plan on posting a lot more videos this week now that I have a little bit more time. I was in school last week, but now I'm not anymore. So I'll be posting more videos, and we'll be working on the really challenging questions, okay? So be patient with yourself and make sure to keep watching the videos if you need to. All right, good luck, girls.